Megan Hicks of Iron Far, and I'm here with Alicia Shay in her first interview with us ahead of the 2014 The North Face Endurance Challenge 50-mile championships. Good night, good evening.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be out here and just kind of test the waters with something a little bit new and start the process of training for ultras.
This is about to be your first 50-miler. 50 miles is a long way.
It's a long way.
It's a long way to get in a car. I know people joke about that, but literally, it's a long way.
It is, yeah, especially when just kind of coming from maybe a background where a marathon seems like the pinnacle of your career. Like when you get older, like you run marathons, and to me, that was kind of the stopping point of a running career. So now it's really strange to think about running twice that distance and competing for that long.
Yeah. Well, you are pretty fresh into the world of trail running and even fresher into the world of ultra running. You have a couple ultras under your belt, but you come to us from first the track world, and then road running. Is that a fair assessment? And I mean, you have some serious leg speed. There's a couple girls in this race who've got really fast road marathon times, but you have super fast shorter distance times. I mean, 15:25 for the 5,000 meters. And there are a lot of dudes who'd like to have that PR.
Yeah, it's a different sport though. So I think that it's kind of, on the men's side, we can see that a lot of guys that have that leg speed are doing well at the longer distances. But I feel like you have to kind of maybe get the formula right so that you can bring out that, I don't know, your talent in that area and have it translate to these longer races. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a science experiment of one. It's a science experiment within a fairly niche community where there aren't a lot of other science experiments to go off of.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Coming into a race of this distance, of this magnitude, given that you really come from a far shorter distance background, like how do you wrap your head around it? How do you say, on Saturday, I'm running 50 miles?
Yeah, I think for me, mentally the best thing I've been able to do is do things in training that are tangible and kind of simulate some of the same feelings I might have while I'm out there. So doing longer long runs and just kind of being on my feet for that long gives me a lot of confidence. Because when I think of a 50-mile race, I think of the intensity of a 10K competing like really hard, like from the gun, and that just I can't even fathom that. So when I kind of break it down into like, well, you're just out there doing a really long run, and at some point you turn it on, you start competing. So in training, just doing that where I'm out there and I can simulate the feeling of like, okay, I'm 4 hours into a run, this is what it feels like. Then it's like, okay, at least there's less uncharted territory going into the race, if that makes sense.
So what are a couple examples of confidence building or mind building workouts you've done? I mean, obviously, like every workout is a physical building workout, but what things do you do that have given you confidence on Saturday?
I would say the two things that give me the most confidence are running with guys in Flagstaff, because it's hard for me to keep up with them, so it pushes me. Yeah. And two, we have a lot of guys in town that have a lot of experience. So I'm just kind of always like gleaning things off of what they say or how they train or what they do when they're out there on the trails, even like watching their footwork or their mechanics. So that's helped me a lot. And then I haven't felt like I could safely do like really long runs. So what I've done is I've kind of taken
it from like a health perspective. Like
just injury. I don't want to get injured again. I want to race. So what I've done is I've just taken my, what might be like say I decide on a weekend like 45 miles, and I'm going to break that up into 2 days and do a back-to-back long run so that I'm going into the second long run with like loaded legs and try to run faster on that second long run. So that's kind of been my staple, I would say, confidence building workout. It's a back-to-back long runs, and then we have such a great tool in Flagstaff of the Grand Canyon that getting in there and descending down to the canyon and then having to climb out, it just really wears you out in a way that's, I think, hard to do on regular rolling trails.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel really good because I can feel myself getting stronger and stronger and having those adaptations.
Cool.
Yeah.
The world of trail running is just not even the same species as road running and track. I mean, is that why you decided to experiment with this type of running? Is because it's so different from your history, or?
I think it's just, I gravitated more towards trail and mountain running because I had such a long period of time where running was kind of taken away from me, and I just physically could not run like even 30 minutes. And so as I kind of slowly healed over the years and got a lot of medical attention, once I was stepping back into running, I just really felt like kind of like an ownership over, like, this is mine. I'm going to make it how I want to. Like, I'm going to make this in a way that brings me joy and satisfaction and just like pulls the best part of Alicia out. And so that no longer was like going to a track and like, banging out repeats by myself or running in circles. It was being in the places that inspire me, like the mountains and on the trails and with my friends that were gravitating towards trail and mountain running. And so I just found that like with my personality, like I just needed something that was, I use the word raw, I don't know how else to explain it, but just me out there in the mountains and just inspired by what I was doing. And so I had this moment of like, I should be doing this, like I should be doing what all my friends are doing, what my old sponsorships were, and where my talent lies. But then my heart was like telling me like, no, I want to be out on the trails, and I want to do it my way this time around.
It's interesting because you went to Flagstaff originally to train with a bunch of fast road and track runners, and maybe it's in part the natural environment of Flagstaff that then drew you off.
Absolutely.
The track.
I think that that's very true. I mean, I started finding just a lot of like peace in the mountains and the peaks around Flagstaff and the Red Rocks in Sedona, right south of Flagstaff, and the Grand Canyon, and I just kind of naturally gravitated towards that terrain as just for my own like emotional healing. I'd gone through a really hard time in my life, and being outside in the woods just it was like therapy time for me.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden like that started to mesh together with my physical abilities to run, and it's a beautiful thing for me. I'm like really grateful that I kind of found my niche.
Yeah.
And I had people that encouraged me to kind of fit into that could see that from the outside.
So I think what I hear you saying is that in addition to it being like the natural world around Phoenix or Flagstaff, is the community too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have an incredible running community in Flagstaff that I even hesitate to say the words running community because they're just people who run, but they're my family.
Yeah.
And we've been through a lot together. So I always refer to people like Rob Carr, Mike Smith, or some other people around town. Like those are my brothers. Like they've just really carried me through a lot. And like, I think that they probably rejoice in me being back to running as much as I do. And I've seen them through their struggles. And so it's a beautiful thing when you can find friends and community like that, and it's just we're just even more lucky that happens to be within the running world as well.
When I think about the North Face Endurance Challenge races every year, it's kind of become a bit of a trail running family reunion here too. You get the same people coming back, and big social gatherings, and people who rent houses as they rent out whole floors of hotels. Is it going to be a good experience? Is it going to be fun to kind of like delve into that and be a part of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like it. I like that it's, I think that probably everyone is coming here wanting to give it their best, and they've trained specifically and seriously for this race. But there's also kind of like a feeling of, it's the end of the year, it's the last race, it's like time to celebrate like these accomplishments, and
can we please just get to the finish line?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really unique way for this to be my first longer ultra race, but I like the vibe that I feel, and I think probably a lot of people run better when there's a little bit of a lightness and celebration to what you're doing, because after all, I think that I coach and I have a lot of athletes that get really stressed about the key race that they're focusing on, and I always tell them, like, this is your reward for all your hard work. So like, why are you stressed? This is like, you know, as a musician, you practice, and then you go out on stage and you perform. Like when you go out and race, this is like, you get to show off like what you've been working so hard for. So I like to think that this is maybe an opportunity like that. This is a year's worth of work that people get to go out and kind of showcase what they have and have a fun time with it.
Well, good luck to you in your personal celebration out there.
Yeah, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yep.